Hello team, welcome to another video with the Mango method. We're going to spend this video looking through one of the drivers in the model. So this particular driver is around multi-business unit or multi-profit and loss reporting. The idea is for businesses that have multiple business units or multiple entities, it's to provide a profit and loss view of each one of those business units and allow those business units to drive the group consolidated core financial model. If we jump straight into core model, all of this infrastructure is built on top of our core financial model. So the idea is one core financial model that scales up with different drivers. So this driver being what we call locations or business units. So locations is just a general term that we use, but think of them as business units. You can think of them as entities, locations as well. So, different regions, but it's just a general term that we use. But you'll see the core infrastructure is largely the same. So if we jump into our table of contents, we'll see that the only new additions to this relate to the entity or BU level reports. So that's these sheets here. The entity or BU level data entry, as well as the start and end. We'll talk about how that works, as well as the key sheets, M inputs, M outputs. And this is one thing to note. This is how we design our models because we want to maintain our core framework. You can have a quick look at our overview video of how our core financial model works and how the model flows, but we will always aim to leverage off of what the core financial model framework does. So in this case, you'll see at the top of our M inputs, we have a summarized data section of all entity forecast summary. And in this section, all of the FINS allocations are provided. And these are done as a central line item. These are essentially forced. So as soon as we have this type of framework where there's multiple business units required or presentation at a multiple business unit level, one core requirement is that the business units share the same set of financials. And then that allows us to appropriately map for all of the entities in the group, or all the business units in the group, to a single set of financials, so that when we consolidate up all the entities, we'll get a full consolidated view that's all lined up across all the business units. Now, the reason this is in an inputs is it is an input to a core financial model. It is a driver. And then again, it follows through into the outputs as well, as all drivers work in our model with an inputs and outputs. You'll also see that the model has headcount section. The idea is for some businesses, headcount might still be driven at a detailed level. So we might still go, in this case, we have all employees, but we might still want to detail out each employee. We might want to then allocate employees to a respective business unit. So in this model, the different business units are OpCo, PropCo. So if we jump in here, location 1, location 2, PropCo, location 3, IPCo, just some common things we see. So what we'll find is users might want to centrally model certain things, but then still do more detailed modeling for things like revenue, for things like overall OpEx at a business unit level. So there is the ability to run both. I mean, obviously salaries and wages can also be modeled at a business unit level as well. So both functions are available, but the end result is that we always pass the final set of values into our M inputs, and that becomes the overarching driver that builds up the consolidated set of financial data. So what we see in core financial model, like core pieces, remains as the consolidated view. So this is why we pass it through M inputs, whereas we have specific sections built out for this driver. So this is our MPL location. So you'll see a framework that's very similar. It's still the monthly, annual, and variance. And those are the presentation views for each one of those business units. And we can obviously drill down into the specific business unit or entity, as well as if we spill out and look at the detail, we can have a summary at a high level by business unit. or we can look at the P&L in isolation and look at each business unit by clicking through the respective business unit. So you'll see all entity BU is actually an aggregated view of all business units. But once we get to the consolidation, all eliminations occur as well. So yeah, each business unit has their own P&L sheet. So if more business units are required or get created in the business, we can create more business unit level specific sheets, and they will just get added into the consolidation set that goes out into the core financial model. And one key piece here is this is built with a Power Query backend. So the locations, any inputs that go into the location requires a data query to calculate that final result that goes into M inputs. But if you're in isolation within the location, all calculations at the top here will occur instantaneously as a normal calc does. So as an example, in September 24, if we just throw a big number in here, we'll see that the data updates directly. But you'll also see in our error checks that there is a refresh that occurs, or a refresh flag that pops up. That refresh flag just gives us a hint that the model needs a refresh. And what we'll do is we'll jump into the refresh or the starting locations or start of locations, give it a click in terms of refresh all data. The model will refresh in the back end, rerun the consolidation of all of the different locations into a singular location table, which then gets passed into our inputs. And you'll see this 1 mil now appears in M inputs, which then will also appear in our core financials. So if we scroll ourselves over to September, we'll find 1 mil is now part of the forecast for the consolidated group. So just showing you that again without refreshing. So if we zero that figure out and we jump into our MFS, that number is still there because we haven't refreshed that data source or that driver. So that driver is still showing the full figure, including the 1 mil, and refresh flag is obviously now triggering again. So if we just give the model a refresh, so we can refresh just the summary. There's also a version for the budget, but if we just refresh the summary, it speeds up the process. Then now model refreshes with that new number taken out. So this is our driver package that relates to multi-BU modeling, where each business unit needs its own profit and loss and needs detailed forecasting at a business unit level. That is the key component here. Keeping in mind, you can still forecast out business units as a row item, but if you want to see the performance of a business unit in isolation, then these business unit or multi P&L packs are required as a driver in the model. Hopefully this has given you a bit of an insight into our driver around multi-business unit. Give us a like and a subscribe for more content that will come in time. Thank you again for joining us. Until our next video.